My ex-wife demanded $75,000 for a son I had never seen. But when I found the child's real father hiding in a trailer park, the truth turned out to be much scarier. Before we begin, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button so you don't miss news stories. The crystal trophy was still warm in my hand. I was standing on the stage of the Metropolitan Ballroom, 300 of the city's top architects and developers applauding. I had just won Architect of the Year for my work on the New Horizon Tower. Life was perfect. Then I saw her. At the back of the room, standing by the mahogany doors, was Chloe Mercer, my ex-fiancée. The woman who had left me 3 years ago, claiming she needed to find herself in Europe, taking half of our joint savings with her. She wasn't alone. She was holding the hand of a small boy, maybe 2 years old, with curly blonde hair. Beside her stood a man in a cheap polyester suit holding a manila envelope. I stepped off the stage, my heart sinking into my stomach. I tried to reach the exit, but the man intercepted me. "Julian Vane?" he asked, his voice cutting through the celebratory music. "Yes? You've been served. Paternity summons and a petition for 3 years of retroactive support. Welcome home, Dad." He shoved the envelope into my chest. The cameras, the ones meant to capture my professional triumph, captured my public humiliation instead. Chloe looked at me, her eyes brimming with fake tears, and mouthed 2 words. "Help us." I didn't go to the after party. I went to my office, locked the door, and tore into the documents. It was a nightmare in ink. Chloe was claiming that our final night together before she moved to London had resulted in a son, Noah. She was suing for $75,000 in backdated expenses and $5,000 a month in support, citing my newfound wealth. The kicker? She had filed a voluntary declaration of paternity, VDP, with my forged signature, dated 2.5 years ago. In this jurisdiction, if you don't contest the VDP within a very strict window, the law considers you the father, period. DNA doesn't matter after the deadline. Biology doesn't matter. Only the paper matters. She had timed it so the deadline to contest the forgery had, technically, passed 3 days before I was served. She wanted me trapped. The next morning, I was in the office of Elias Thorne, a lawyer whose reputation was built on scorched earth litigation. He looked at the forged signature on the VDP through a magnifying glass. "She's good, Julian," Elias muttered. "It's a near-perfect imitation of your hand. And she has 2 witnesses who signed affidavits saying they saw you sign this in a cafe in Soho." "I wasn't in Soho that day. I was in Chicago for a site visit," I shouted. "Doesn't matter," Elias said, leaning back. "She's filed this through the state's emergency welfare system. They've already placed a legal hold on your personal accounts. If we don't break this in 7 days at the preliminary hearing, the judge will formalize the arrears. You'll be paying for a child that likely isn't yours while your career is dragged through the mud." "What do I do?" "We don't just defend." Elias grinned, showing teeth. "We hunt. Chloe Mercer didn't live in Europe for 3 years on her own. Someone was paying her bills. Find the shadow father, and we find the truth." I hired a private investigator named Caleb. Within 48 hours, Caleb found the first crack in Chloe's glass house. "She wasn't in London, Julian," Caleb said over the phone. "She was in a beach town in South Carolina, living in a house owned by a guy named Owen Reed. Owen is a local boat mechanic. Big guy, soft heart, and according to his social media, he's been raising a son named Noah for the last 2 years. My blood ran cold. He thinks he's the father? Worse. He knows he's the father. But 2 months ago, Owen had a work accident. Lost 3 fingers, lost his insurance, lost his income. The second the money dried up, Chloe disappeared with the kid. She blocked Owen on everything. I realized the depth of her depravity. She wasn't just trying to rob me, she was kidnapping a child from the only father he knew because I was a better investment. I drove 4 hours to South Carolina. I found Owen Reed in a trailer park, his hand heavily bandaged, sitting on a lawn chair staring at a pile of toddler toys in the grass. He looked like a man who had been hollowed out. "Owen?" I asked. He looked up, his eyes bloodshot. "If you're here about the debt, I don't have it. I'm not here about debt. I'm Julian Vane, Chloe Mercer's ex." Owen stood up, his face darkening. "The architect? The guy she told me was a stalker? The guy she said was obsessed with her? Is that what she told you?" I pulled out the court summons. "She's telling a judge in the city that I'm Noah's father. She's suing me for $75,000. Owen took the papers with his good hand. As he read, his face went from angry to pale. "But Noah is mine. I was there when he was born. I cut the cord. I have his footprints tattooed on my ribs, man. Did you ever sign a birth certificate?" Owen looked down. "She said since we weren't married, it was complicated with her trust fund. She said she'd handle the paperwork. I trusted her. I loved her. Owen, she's using that boy as a lottery ticket. And she's going to erase you to do it. I have a hearing in 3 days. I need you there. And I need one more thing." "What?" "A hairbrush. A toothbrush. Anything with Noah's DNA on it." The day of the hearing was overcast. Chloe showed up in a modest navy dress, looking every bit the struggling, abandoned mother. She even brought Noah, who looked confused and kept asking for "Daddy." Every time the boy spoke, Chloe would hiss at him to be quiet. The judge, Justice Evelyn Thorne, no relation to my lawyer, and known for being incredibly pro-mother, looked at me with pure disdain. "Mr. Vane," the judge began, "I see a successful man who has ignored his responsibilities. The VDP on file is clear. Why are we wasting the court's time?" Chloe's lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, my client is facing eviction. Mr. Vane is living in a penthouse. We ask for the immediate seizure of the arrears and an increase in monthly support due to the bad faith delay." My lawyer, Elias, stood up slowly. "Your Honor, we contest the VDP as a fraudulent document. And we have evidence of a secondary fraud. The deadline to contest the VDP has passed, Mr. Thorne," the judge snapped. "Unless," Elias countered, "the fraud involves a crime of kidnapping and identity theft. I would like to call our first witness, Owen Reed." The doors at the back of the court opened. Owen walked in, his arm in a sling, looking terrified but determined. Chloe's face didn't just turn pale, it turned gray. She visibly began to shake. "Who is this?" the judge asked. "This," Elias said, "is the man who has raised Noah for every second of his life. The man whose DNA, which we had privately tested against a sample from the child's toothbrush, is a 99.9% match. We have the lab results right here. This is highly irregular," Chloe's lawyer shouted. "This man is a stranger." "Is he?" Elias turned to the child. "Noah, who is that?" The little boy's face lit up like a Christmas tree. "Daddy!" he shrieked, reaching out his arms. "Daddy, you found us!" The courtroom went dead silent. The judge looked from the crying child to the stoic Owen, and then finally at Chloe, who was trying to edge toward the exit. "Sit down, Ms. Mercer," the judge said, her voice like a guillotine. "Your Honor," Elias continued, "Ms. Mercer was very careful. She forged the signature. She timed the service. But she forgot one detail. She claimed in her sworn affidavit that she met Mr. Vane in a park in the city on August 14, 2022, to beg for help, and that he gave her $500 in cash to go away." "And?" the judge asked. "I am an architect, Your Honor." I stood up, speaking for the first time. "My life is built on smart technology. My office, my home, even my car are integrated into a central smart grid system. On August 14, 2022, my car's GPS shows it never left my garage. My office keycard shows I was in a secure server room for 14 hours. But most importantly," I pulled out a tablet and showed a video feed. "This is the Ring doorbell footage from my apartment. On that exact afternoon, The footage shows Chloe Mercer standing at my door for 10 minutes, pounding on it, while I wasn't home. But look at the bottom of the screen. The judge leaned in. In the video, Chloe was holding a folder, the same folder she used to forge the VDP. As she turned to leave, she looked directly into the camera and stuck her tongue out, laughing to someone off camera. The person off camera was her sister, and the audio picked up Chloe saying, "He's not even here. This is going to be the easiest 50 grand I've ever made. He's too busy building towers to notice his own life being stolen." The judge didn't even wait for the closing arguments. "Bailiff," the judge said, her voice trembling with rage, "take Ms. Mercer into custody. I am referring this to the district attorney for perjury, filing a false instrument, and grand theft by deception." Chloe started screaming. "You can't do this! I'm a mother! I have rights!" "You were a mother," the judge said. "But you used your child as a weapon. Mr. Reed, based on the DNA evidence and your history of care, I am granting you temporary sole custody of Noah, effective immediately. Mr. Vane, your accounts are unfrozen. This case is dismissed with prejudice." As the bailiff snapped the handcuffs on Chloe, she looked at me, her eyes full of venom. "I'll be out in a year, Julian. You'll still be alone." I looked at Owen, who was clutching Noah so tight it looked like he'd never let go. The little boy was sobbing into Owen's neck, finally safe. "I might be alone," I said quietly, "but at least I can look at myself in the mirror." A month later, I received a photo in the mail. It was Owen and Noah on a new boat. Owen had used the small legal defense fund I'd set up for him to get his business back on its feet. Chloe was sentenced to 5 years. It turned out she had done this before to a guy in Georgia, but he hadn't had the resources to fight back. I went back to my towers and my blueprints. But now, whenever I design a building, I don't just think about the glass and the steel. I think about the foundation. Because if the foundation is built on a lie, the whole thing is eventually going to come crashing down. And sometimes, you just need to be the one to pull the final brick. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button so you don't miss out on new interesting stories.